Hi there, this is Jeanette for Whimsy Stamps, and today I have a new card to share with you. And what I want to show you how to do is to create this sort of shaped background behind your image. I wanted to do this with this image because I thought the image should really be the focal point of the card, and I didn't want to add a bunch of flares or pattern paper to it. I wanted it to be pretty clean and simple. So I have already colored it all up with Copic markers, and what I'll do is I will leave a link to my blog posting, and you can check that out. I'll have all the numbers that I use listed on my blog posting, so check the info bar below for that. Right now I'm just adding some gray Copic marker just to ground the image, and I have used some Eclipse paper to create a mask. So I just stamped the image again on this Eclipse paper, cut it out, and this is going to be a mask for me so that I can add color behind the image. So I'm going to be using an oval die. These are Spellbinder dies, and you can use actually whatever shape you want. I thought an oval would be pretty. You could put a circle, you could put a star, you could put a heart. And I'm using a different type of masking paper. This is from Inka Dinka Doo, I think it's called. It's just a little bit stronger of an adhesive. So I'm just cutting out the oval on that paper, and I'm going to trim it down. I'll use the rest of that masking paper for something else. So now that I've cut that down to size, I am going to just peel back the release paper and place it over top my card front. Now you want to make sure that you are putting it down really straight and evenly. When I first put it down, it was a little bit wonky, and so I did have to pull it up a little bit and reposition it, because it will really show up if this is not straight. So this is a step that you want to take a little bit of time and care to make sure that it's nice and straight. So once I have pressed the paper down, I can go ahead now and start applying some color. So I'm going to be applying a few shades of sort of aqua. And I'm using these new clarity brushes that I bought earlier this year. These brushes apply the ink in a really soft way. You probably can't even see too much of that first color I put down. This second color is a little bit darker, and it's very buildable. So you just sort of brush the brush back and forth, or using a circular motion if you want to add a little bit more ink color, and it just slowly builds up the color, but it's very soft. There's no lines, no sort of pounce marks. You know, when you're using the foam brushes, sometimes you sort of get sort of lines or discoloration where it's a little bit too colored in one area. These brushes, although it takes a little bit more time, you can achieve a very soft look, and that's what I wanted for this aperture. I really wanted it to be really soft and really pretty. So I am putting it basically everywhere, sort of concentrating it around the edges, so making sure that those edges are a little bit darker. And then when I'm really happy with this, I'm going to go in with a blue color, so a dark blue color. And this is going to just really give the inking a shading effect. It'll be really pretty. Now these clarity brushes, I bought a set and it came with 4 brushes. This is, I think, the second largest brush that I'm using right now. So can you see how that is just building up so pretty? I'm really happy with these. I did have to sort of play around. The mask did come up a little bit from the hands, so I had to be careful to sort of hold it down to make sure I didn't get any ink on the hands. So this is the dark blue color that I'm going to be using now. I am using a smaller brush, and you can see that in fact the smaller brush was laying on the color. I don't know if it was because the brush was smaller or because the ink was darker, but you can see that the color is building up a little more quickly than when I was using the larger brush with the aqua color. Again, I'm making sure that the mask is not lifting up because I don't want to get any ink on my image. So I just kept going sort of back and forth. I really wanted to concentrate that blue at the bottom so that it would be dark at the top and then gradually fade into the aqua and the light aqua. So I finally figured out I could hold down the mask with my little craft knife there. So you can see how that has built up, and it's very soft and diffuse. There's no harsh lines. And then I'm taking that aqua color with a larger brush and just blending a little bit more. So now this is where the magic happens. So peel off the mask so you can see that I have that beautiful oval shape. It's nice and crisp, but the blending inside is so smooth. And then I can peel off the mask on the image, and this is when you really get the full effect. This is like my favorite part of when I do things like this. So there you go. You get this beautiful, beautiful background with sort of that shape. I wanted to sort of diffuse the grounding. You know, I had put that gray color for the grounding. I just took my blender and made sure that it was a little bit more diffuse. So for my card base, I'm going with a sort of green color, and I'm going to trim this down so that it measures 4 by 5 1/4. So first I cut a little bit off, and then I decided I'd cut more off at the top just to make sure everything is sort of lined up properly. And then I had cut that cardstock lengthwise in half, so I cut it at 4 1/4. And then I'll just lay it up on my paper trimmer here. And see that groove? I'm just going to take my bone folder and put a score line at 5 1/2, and then I have my A2 sized card base ready. So again, I took a little bit more of that blender pen just to blend it a little bit more. Now I can adhere this right onto the card base, making sure to center it. And then I did want to add a sentiment, so I used these beautiful dies. These are a word die set from Whimsy, and it comes with 3 words. It comes with birthday, wishes, and magical. I did cut all 3 out. I wasn't sure if I was going to use all 3 or 2, and I wasn't sure which combination I was going to use. I ended up thinking that the magical wishes looked the nicest. So I cut those out of gold foil paper. And now I'm just adding some Zig glue, and I'm going to put the wishes here on the bottom right, and then the magical I will put at the top left. So I'm just going to put that so it just overlaps slightly onto the oval, and then I had to find the little dots for the eyes. I can't remember. There's an actual word. They actually have a proper name. I can't remember what it is. But I just used my tweezers to sort of stick that down. I had to find the other one. I wasn't sure where it was, and it ended up being up there at the top of my paper. So a little bit of glue, and then using the tweezers again to get that down. And then because I needed a little bit more bling, I decided to use these great enamel dots. I think these are from the It's a Party line. Anyways, there'll be a link below. But enamel dots that Whimsy have are amazing. I use them, I think, on every project. So pretty, and great color matches for this card. So even though I said I wanted a clean and simple card, I am still adding quite a few embellishments and colors. It doesn't really read, I guess, as clean and simple, but it's not overkill, I think. And the card is also basically one sort of dimension. It doesn't have too many layers. It'll be easy to mail this. I'm just filling in the little face on the balloon with a white gel pen, and I'm adding a few dots here and there on the background, and that just makes the background pop even more. I just think it looks so pretty. It looks magical, just like the sentiment says. And again, you have to take your time. I wanted to make some of the dots larger and some of them smaller. And then I'll just add a line here on her legs, nice highlight. I went over it 2 times, and my card is done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this inspires you to try something like this out. You will be amazed at how pretty it makes your image look. For a full list of supplies and links, you can find that below this video on YouTube or on my blog.